Jets OTA practices start today. Plus, there is a pass catcher on the team that we've forgotten about that is raising some eyebrows. We discuss on Boy Green Daily.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey, what's poppin', everybody? Paul Esden Jr., Well, that was awkward. Anywho, Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green, take two. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. Yes, Jets OTA practices start today. The players showing up and working out and giving us some content. We'll have press conferences and players and insiders and all kinds of juicy stuff coming off some of these Jets OTAs, which I'm very much looking forward to. Plus, there is a full article in the YouTube description on this topic list. And the topic is this: the player that has been raising some eyebrows is none other than wide receiver Jason Brownlee. And we've been talking about everybody else, quite frankly. Garrett Wilson, what's he going to look like with a guy in Aaron Rodgers? Alan Lazard, $44 million. And is Aaron Rodgers going to raise his ceiling? And Malachi Corley, what does he bring to the table? Then the Mike Williams sandwich god. There's been a lot of talk about all the other receivers. But the receiver that hasn't been getting a lot of love, and quite frankly, has been overlooked, is Jason Brownlee. And this is the second time that Rich Cimini of ESPN has brought him up. He brought him up in his Sunday morning column saying, quote, he's a player to keep an eye on. Here was his quote in the story. One player who's impressed is wide receiver Jason Brownlee, who was featured in Hard Knocks last summer, made the team as an undrafted rookie. He could be a surprise in the receiving corps. Now, Jason Brownlee is a very, very interesting individual that, quite frankly, I think we got incredibly hyped up about the possibility of this young man, because I'm sure you guys will all remember this play, which I'm about to throw up on the screen here. We'll throw this up on the screen so you guys can see it. Let me bring you guys up here. This is the Jason Brownlee play. We all lost our bananas over that. Adam Schefter tweeted out. Here you go. Here's the play. Yeah, thanks. We don't need the music, but that's all right. The Jason Brownlee play of this crazy one-handed catch in training camp. He just reaches over. You got Moss 31, and unbelievable play. And we lost our friggin' bananas over this. We were like, oh boy, we found a gem here, because if you remember, the Jets have not done a really good job, at least recently, excuse me, in finding undrafted free agent offensive gems. That has not really been the case, but defenders, sure. Bryce Huff, that's someone that stood out, and others that they've gotten creative ways, like waivers. Quincy Williams, Sean Franklin Myers, another guy off of waivers. They've done a really unique job, of getting some of these guys to crank up on defense, but offense, it hasn't really been there. So to see Jason Brownlee, who came out of nowhere, for two undrafted free agent wide receivers to make a 53-man roster, for one undrafted free agent to make it regardless of position, is impressive. But two wide receivers certainly raised some eyebrows last year. And our hype train was crazy with the Adam Schefter tweet and the Jets tweet and everything else. We're like, oh boy, did we find this hidden gem? And our expectations were through the roof for this guy, and we didn't really get to see anything. After he had the crazy catch, that was basically it. He did get his first touchdown as a rookie. He appeared in 7 games, made 5 starts, finished with 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. And then the question is this. Excuse me. The question is this. Did Jason Brownlee just not get a lot more production because the quarterback situation sucked? Very possible. Or is Jason Brownlee going to be this guy that you will occasionally see flashes from, but that's basically the full story? We don't know. And maybe we'll see it this season, potentially, for Jason Brownlee, who, like I said, has been picking up a lot of he's been picking up some steam this offseason from people. Give a shout out to Connor of New York Flight Jets Talk. Rich Samiti told him this before this story nugget on Sunday. Quote, kind of my dark horse guy is Jason Brownlee, who made the team last year. I've been hearing good things about him, so you might see a nice jump from him. And of course, Aaron Rodgers, high tide rises all boats, so that could certainly open the door for the young man. And the other thing that I find really interesting is Connor Hughes of SNY. He had a mailbag, and he talked about the potential of Mike Williams not being ready and who could fill in for him. The first name he mentioned was Jason Brownlee, interestingly. So there's been a few mentions of him this offseason, and again, I'm really intrigued with what it's going to be with Aaron Rodgers, because to be honest, us Jet fans have no friggin' idea what a good quarterback looks like. We haven't seen it consistently enough. We saw the random spurts of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he imploded at the end. We've seen Chad Pennington. We've seen flashes from Brett Favre. He had a 6-touchdown game in that 2008 season against the Arizona Cardinals. Like, we've seen good quarterback play in spurts. But to see an elite quarterback season, full bore, league leading kind of stuff, we just haven't seen it on a consistent level, and really any legitimate level for like 30, 40 years. So it's been a long ass time. So I think that is going to take us to a different level as well. And when you look at his college career, Jason Brownlee, humble beginnings in terms of his original start to the NFL, former Southern Miss product, who started his college career for 2 years at East Mississippi Community College. He then transferred to a bigger school in Southern Miss. And over that 3 years there, he had 135 catches for 2,144 yards and 21 touchdowns. He measured at 6'2" and 198 at the NFL Combine. Lance Zierlein projected him as a 5th-round draft choice. He did not hear his name called in the class. And there's been traits and flashes, certainly, and there's a lot of reasons why Jet fans have been excited about him, but it seems like there's a path, because if you look at this Jets wide receiving core for a second, you have Garrett Wilson. Okay, he's a star. Put him in his own category. Everyone else on the roster has some sort of question. Mike Williams is coming off a torn ACL. Put him in a bucket. Allen Lazard, to be honest, he got benched for Jason Brownlee at the end of last year. He was messing around with drops and all kinds of other issues, deflecting blame in the locker room. Like, there was a lot of beef there. So put him in a pile. Robert Saleh said Malachi Corley was a quote-unquote raw route runner coming out of the draft, and as they're working on him. So put him in a bucket. And then all of a sudden now we're swimming around in the Xavier Gibson, Jason Brownlee, Malik Taylor. I mean, let's pull up the roster. We can name some of these other receivers that are on the roster here. And that's where we're getting into people that could make noise, surprisingly, and perhaps make something happen here on the roster. So let's see. On the Jets website right now. Okay, so Irv Charles, that's another one I didn't mention, although he provides almost nothing on offense. So a pure special teamer. You have Hamzi El-Zayat from Eastern Michigan, directional Michigan. Okay. Tyler Harrell, the wide receiver out of Miami. Lance McCutcheon, Montana State. Marcus Riley, Florida A&M. Malik Taylor, Ferris State is the former Packer, and that's your list. That is the wide receivers, and then I already mentioned Corley earlier. So that's the list. And I'm going to be honest, everyone is all over Irv Charles as this special team god. And he certainly had that big play when he came into the Broncos game. But if you guys heard the interview with Thomas Morstead at the end of the season, and Ethan Greenberg asked him about Irv Charles, he said Irv has a long way to go and he has a lot to learn and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying that Irv can't learn that this offseason or try to learn some of the things that Morstead was talking about. But he said he's young and talented, but he's got stuff to learn. So for people to say, he's just going to immediately replace Justin Hardy, I'm kind of like, easier said than done. Hardy was a Pro Bowler, man. Plus, I think Isaiah Oliver, who we haven't really talked about, as that early, he was perhaps, I think, the first move of the Jets offseason. They signed him as a free agent before free agency started because I think he was cut from the 49ers. And Isaiah Oliver, he's a guy who could play a ton of special team snaps. So I could certainly see him being that guy for the direct replacement of Justin Hardy, which means you wouldn't need Irv Charles, which means opens up opens up a roster spot. So that'd be something else I would look at as well. But I do believe that Jason Brownlee has a path here, not only to make the roster, of course, but if Mike Williams, let's start off with him. If Mike Williams, who doesn't look like he's going to be ready for training camp, is anywhere compromised at the beginning of the season, someone else has to step up to the plate. Allen Lazard, who knows how quickly he will rise or fall on the depth chart based on the Aaron Rodgers factor. Everyone's going to have to earn their spot. That opens up an opportunity. The Corley raw routeness. Okay, that opens up. All of a sudden, Jason Brownlee can become the second or third receiver in this team pretty quickly, considering injuries and all these other factoids. So there's going to be some chances here for Jason Brownlee to make some noise. So, he's already raising eyebrows this offseason. We're going to have OTA practices coming today. And throughout, the next couple of weeks here until we get to mandatory minicamp in mid-June, then boom, we're going to have like a month break till Jets training camp coming up in July. So a lot of noise to be made. And I hope so, because Brownlee seems like a really good kid. I love the Hard Knocks story. That was great on him. So I'm really looking forward to it. All right, let's go through some of your questions or comments, guys, before we get to any calls or phone lines. Okay. Peter, only a little more than 100 days left to the season, I'm assuming. Excellent. Great. Let's keep going. And for people asking, outside of it being anything crazy, I don't mess around with deleting comments or anything. So any of you guys are safe. For whoever's posting comments in there, I don't normally get rid of anything unless it's, attacking at a personal level or anything of that nature. Jared B., how many wide receivers do we keep and who are they? That's a good question. Okay, so we have the roster in front of me here. 6 or 7 maybe. So let's go with the automatics that are making this roster. So Garrett Wilson is obviously making this roster. Mike Williams is making this roster. Malachi Corley is making this roster. That's 3. Lazard, because of his contract, is making this roster. That's 4. Let's see here. Well, that's the list. And then now we get in funky territory of Jason Brownlee, Xavier Gibson. I probably have both of those cats in there. That brings us to 6. And so we have Corley, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Allen Lazard. Give me the 2 UDFA guys of Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gibson. That takes us to 6. And then there's an outside possibility for one of these other cats to make some noise, but they might cap it off at 6. So it could be Irv Charles for special teams. Again, I think most of those special team snaps are going to be eaten up by Isaiah Oliver, but maybe Irv Charles can get in there. We'll see. And then maybe like a Malik Taylor who showed some flashes. He had the big, the Zach Wilson, throw in the Cleveland game. That was Malik Taylor. And he actually had the big play in the Giants game too, to win that one. So, it could be Malik Taylor. Sneaky guy. Keep an eye on. Good question, Jared. Good question. Armani, showing love to BG. Keep up the great work. Thanks, everybody. Boy Green Daily live every single day at 7:30 in the morning. Thanks to the 300 people that are joining us live here on a Monday on May 20th. That's dedication, baby. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, Nick's on the golf course today. I watched the game. They had that rally in the third quarter where I'm getting excited because my partner is a diehard Knicks fan, and it would have been great radio for Knicks and Celtics to be facing off against each other. So I was, DiVincenzo 3, playing a little defense. I'm like, okay, the Knicks are getting back into this. And then the Pacers just had an answer and then had one of the greatest offensive games in playoff history. So that'll help with that field goal percentage being spectacular. So, yeah, next season is over. But I guess you guys can be proud of that. proud of the team and the grit and everything. We'll see. There's a lot of big decisions coming for the Knicks this offseason. Darren says, go home Knicks now. I have to start hating on the Celtics. All right, there you go. Well, and shout out to the T-Wolves taking out the NBA reigning champ Denver Nuggets. I'm going to be honest, as a Celtics guy, excellent. I like that the Nuggets are out. Anthony Edwards and that team's pretty talented, but Anthony Edwards is 22. He's a young buck. He's still got to learn his place. He's not quite ready for the NBA championship limelight. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. We'll see. We will see. As Card Cave Central says, you can't teach that. Can't teach size. Size is something you got. Jason Brownlee's got a little bit of size. Edward jumps in, says, people say that Jason Brownlee was obscenely awesome in his college career. That he was. He wasn't perfect. Obviously, if he was, he would have went a lot higher in the draft. I mean, he went undrafted. But there were a lot of flashes. Let me see. John Sauer says, really think Jets believe in him, Jason Brownlee. Hopefully he'll pan out. We could kiss Lazard goodbye next season. Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I mean, I'm still in shock that following the Black Friday game, Robert Saleh came to the podium and said he started to say that Alan Lazard is going to be here for a long time. And then he stopped himself. Watch the press conference. Again, it's the Jets-Dolphins Black Friday post-game press conference. Robert Saleh was in the middle of an answer. He's asked about Alan Lazard. And he starts to say that Alan Lazard's going to be here for a long time. And then he stops himself and says, well, for the next year and a half. And everyone kind of cocks their head. Year and a half? What is he talking about? Alan Lazard signed a 4-year deal for $44 million. What Saleh was indicating, and what he said by accident publicly, is that Lazard is only here through his guaranteed money. Then they're going to cut his ass. Okay. Now to say that behind the scenes, of course. Okay. Well, boy, this didn't work out. As soon as we could get out of this thing, we're getting out of this thing. But to accidentally say that publicly, yikes. That is a hell of an indictment on Alan Lazard. Which, again, I think he kind of did that himself with the drops and the penalties and everything else he contributed. But that was like stunning. So, yeah, it sounds like he gone. And they've been trying to apparently grenade his contract this offseason by offering him to other teams. And no one's biting, non-surprisingly, obviously. Because if Lazard can't work on a team that had his old OC and Hackett and his old quarterback and Rodgers. I know Rodgers wasn't playing on the field, but if it can't work there, where can it work? That's where we get into some funky territory there. That's why I'm not surprised other teams were not interested, obviously. So we'll see. NY Jets FL says Nick's loss is Allen's Super Bowl for May. Well, it could be. Let's see. Ricky New York says, David Clowney looked like Randy Moss in the preseason and then disappeared when the real game started. How often did he make the roster? I watched some of the old Hard Knocks because I was getting ready last offseason, but I know a bunch of times he got cut. And, oh my gosh, if I remember correctly, my brain's going to explode. Who's our Mike Westhoff? I had a brain fart there. Mike Westhoff hated David Clowney, if I remember Hard Knocks correctly. Yikes. So he thought he was a prima donna, basically, and special teams and hardcore and all that. We'll have to have Mike Westhoff on this offseason. I've never had him on the show, but I've seen him on other shows, and I'm in the middle of his book. It's actually over here. I've been reading his book. You see all this? These are all, I don't know if this comes good on camera. These are all notes I took throughout his book, which is Figure It Out. This is a good book. I will promote the heck out of it for free, but no sponsorship. These are all my notes from the Mike Westhoff thing for people who are watching. I've taken like 1,000 notes of questions I want to ask him. This might have to be like an hour-long interview with all the questions I have from his book. So very cool. It's very him. It's very blunt, very direct when you're reading it. And for people who appreciate that sort of thing, I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, wow, it's been quite a book. I've been diving in over the last year plus. I've had to kind of start, stop, but I've been taking a lot of notes in his book, or on the note tabs of his book. All right, guys, you guys can also use the YouTube Super Chat feature. That'll skip the queue. Feel free. Bernard Nixon says, R.I.P. Denver. Yeah, it's over. Hey, I saw this stat. This guarantees, obviously, with the Nuggets out, that there will be 6 different NBA champions over the last 6 years. Dynasty's dead. Going to talk about actually that on the radio today. But 6 years, 6 new champions. Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Celtics favorites to win it all. Need a healthy Porzingis, Allen says. We'll see. I think he's supposed to miss the first 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals, and then we'll see. I'm going to be honest. I don't fear the Pacers at all. And I love that it went 7 games and this slugger with the Knicks. Phenomenal. No worries whatsoever. Again, maybe they'll come back to bite me in the butt. I don't think so. NC asks, part of our Boy Green Superfan Club, isn't special team requirements this year going to be a little different with teams lining up on the opposing 40s? It is, but we don't know how because we haven't seen it yet. It's only been in practicality in terms of some of these practices and stuff. We don't really know. It probably means bigger guys because you're going to have like offensive lines, trench warfare going at each other to try to nullify each other's numbers. But the returners, are they big guys? Are they fast guys? Are they like get through the initial wave like a track athlete, like who's like 150 pounds, like a Deshaun Jackson type? Is that what they go for returner? We don't know. TBD. Is Xavier Gibson like the one back there? Do they go for like an Izzy? Do they go for more creatively like a Breece Hall or something? That's TBD. I'm not sure. Matthias says, I love football, but don't wish the summer away. I enjoy the process. Like, again, the big month gap. Obviously for me, I'm going to have, for me in particular, I'm going to have a lot of things going on with the baby in the oven, so to speak, but, I do enjoy the summer. I enjoy the OTA practices and the mandatory mini camp and the conversations. And plus, we get to do the show every day. So there's a lot to love. Absolutely. But, I can't wait for football. Football's exciting. I love all the parts of it, too, because we got fantasy football that I do. I do a live draft at a bar. That's a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll have to do a Boy Green fantasy football league. We'll have to see if there's interest. We'll see. Big Daddy says, we should not put so many eggs in the Brownlee basket. Let's get a vet for the minimum, such as Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow would be an awesome choice. I actually wrote about that for Heavy on Jets and the fact that it'd basically be veteran minimum. Why not get a 28-year-old former Pro Bowl wide receiver who's a route technician? And he'd provide you a nice floor for Malachi Corley, because Malachi Corley, in theory, is this raw route runner, as Salas says. Hunter Renfrow is anything but a raw route runner. He's the complete opposite. But how much gas does he have left in the tank? He had that Pro Bowl 2021 season where he had like 100 catches, just over 1,000 yards, and like 9 touchdowns, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, Hunter Renfrow could be a nice ad. I wouldn't mind it. A lot of the receivers are disappearing off the market, but that would be a good one. That'd be a good kick of the tires. Best case, you got more depth at receiver. Great. Worst case, you cut him and you lose nothing because it was veteran minimum. So, yes. As Darren says, hit the like button, baby. Smack that like. Whether you're watching live or after the fact. Helps grow the channel. Appreciate you. Tio says, the Knicks lived up to their name. Too nicked up. And how fitting. Jalen Brunson fractures his hand. Injuries. Josh Hart dragging his limp body. OG Anunoby plays for the first 5 minutes, hits a couple of threes. So like, oh, baby, here we go. And then he's out for the rest of the game. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Feel bad for the Knicks. Sorry, pal. Matthias, New York Jets in the playoffs this season, 95% chance, exclamation point, question mark. I mean, it's just hard not to make it. I mean, you have 7 teams in each side of the conference that makes it, and there's 32 teams in the NFL split right down the seam. There's 16 in each. So what, 40 something percent make it, 40+%. It's, if you're a good team, it's hard. Now, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. There's going to be teams that are left out of the dance because there's more than 7 good teams in the AFC, but it is what it is. I really love the Jets' chance of not only making the playoffs, but making some noise. But different strokes, a lot of people want to see it. A lot of people want to see it. Ralph says we need a safety before camp begins, perhaps. Again, there's a lot of guys out there. We've brought up Marcus May as a possibility on the show. Quandre Diggs, Justin Simmons. Is it someone smaller? Maybe it's a scheme guy. Could be. Bernard says my top 5 is Brady, Montana, Mahomes, Peyton, and Rodgers. I just can't put Mahomes there yet. Mahomes will be inevitably perhaps in that top 5. But it's hard to put him there right now at this moment in time. Again, if he retired tomorrow, he'd be a Hall of Famer, unquestionably. But we have to see. There's more to the puzzle. There's more to the puzzle there. But you're swimming in the right waters. Peter asks, am I going to any games this year? So that's a good question. I'm thinking of the Rams one that's at the end of the season right around Christmas. The other one I'm trying to figure out is Jets-Patriots, the home opener. I've never been to a primetime home opener before. Have not. But boy, against the New England Patriots, this team we all hate and we could destroy in prime time, that could be a hell of a time. It could be a hell of a time. I don't know. My fiance, when I floated it to her, she said, "What, prime time? What about your baby?" So, yeah, I might have to go by myself if I go. But so that one will be interesting. Nothing official on that yet, but I'm looking at it. John Sauer's funny. Oh, was Lazard on the Jets last year? Never saw him. Yeah, I understand free agent bust, like not working out. You sign a guy, and for whatever reason, it doesn't vibe. I can understand that. It's a complicated game. It's like the draft. Your guesswork, a lot of guesswork. It's a pro personnel guesswork, like a free agent draft, where you bring guys in. Sometimes it doesn't work. A coaching staff doesn't fit. Injuries happen, whatever. But for a guy to just have a lack of interest at the end of the season, and then the deflecting of blame really bothered me too, and being a healthy scratch. And people were talking about the soccer ball thing. Soccer ball thing is more so a perception thing. If Lazard's catching touchdowns, no one cares about him playing around with the soccer ball as his pregame routine. But it looks a lot worse when you're sucking and everything else is happening and you're playing around with the soccer ball. But it's more so the sucking that went off. And again, to be a healthy scratch multiple times, that's just that's rough. That is rough for sure. 100%. That's rough. And there we go. Tio with a baby blessings. Boy Green, appreciate the super chat, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah. It's great. It's great being a dad again. We have the gender reveal coming up next week. So very quickly, I'm going to find out whether it's boy or girl. I will tell you, actually, someone knows. We have a third-party person, a friend of the family, that knows the information right now, whether it's a boy or a girl. We did the blood test thing, and then we sent it off to a doctor and then a scientist or something, and then they had the information. They gave it to our third-party person, and then they're going to set up the thing. I think we're doing a football for me, and I'm spiking it. And I think if the powder's green, then we have a boy. If the powder's blue, we have a girl. And there's something for my daughter who's 2 and my wife, fiance, whatever. She has something as well, like silly string or like the smoke thing or something. So we will know. I think it's this upcoming weekend. I think we'll know. And then we'll put it out on social for you guys to see. So crazy. Absolutely crazy. But someone right now knows the gender of my baby. I guess 2 people, the doctor and then this other person. But I'm not talking to the other person. I want any hints. We'll just see what happens. I'll react live in the moment. So should be a lot of fun. Yeah, is anyone going to any away games this season? I'm not for the Jets. I might be going to another NFL game, but I think that'll be my father's Hop on Pop story later this week. I'll explain that. But we'll see. We'll see. The only away games I've been to for the Jets are, let me try to think of them. So I went to the Dallas game last year, obviously, so I was week 2. And then I've been to Buffalo. Oh, that Buffalo game was horrible. Those crazy bastards, tables and beer thrown. A little crazy. That is crazy. Steelers game, possibly Jags. Those are good examples. Oh, yeah, that's it. The people are cooking on the Jags thing. We'll see. I don't know if me or my family can pull that off, but that would be fun. The Steelers one, that's just iconic. It's Sunday Night Football. I was going to say Heinz Field, but it's not Heinz Field anymore. It's Acrisure. So we'll see. Darren says, I put 300 on the Jets to win it all. Pays out 8,400. Nice. Nice scratch, pal. Very nice. I respect it. Let me see. John Sauer says Paul Mahomes in 3 Super Bowls and already won 2 of them, barring career-ending injury. Wait, no, wait. Hasn't he? Doesn't he have 3 rings? He's won 2 in a row, and then he won that other one against the 49ers because he beat Eagles, 49ers, and then 49ers the first time. So he has 3. He's been to 4 Super Bowls. He lost the Brady one, and then he's won the other 3, including 2 in a row. Yeah, John, I'm pretty sure that's right. So yeah, I'm sure he's already in. It's just hard for me to put a current player in there right now. But yeah, he has 3 rings right now, believe it or not, which only strengthens your argument, I'm sure. So yeah, so again, it's if I spike the ball, it's green. We're doing green for the Jets, obviously. Dane says, if you spike it like Gronk, boy green, just don't let it ricochet and break your nose. We've all seen the poorly done gender videos where like something wild happens, like they swing a baseball and you hit someone in the crowd. So yeah, I'm hoping I don't do anything embarrassing. The football last year, I was just so stunned because, like, in my head, I knew, or I thought I did. I was like, "Oh, this is a boy," and I spike it, and there's just pink everywhere. And I was just like, "I'll have to reshare the like next week after we do it. We'll be doing a Boy Green Daily or something. You'll see my face. It was just a shock. Like, no way. Like, wow, unbelievable." Darren says, boy or girl, not aware. I just wish for health for you and your family. And I'll tell you this, guys. I've told this story before, I think, but during the first baby and that process going through, I'll be honest, I wanted a boy badly. I wanted a boy. We knew the name, everything. I was just like, I want a boy, football, and all this stuff. And by the way, girls can do football too. But just in my mind, for whatever reason, it's just football, NFL, get this guy in, like craziness, right? And mostly joking, but like I wanted a boy. And then we went through a lot of trials and tribulations during the pregnancy. And once the baby arrived and was just healthy, I didn't give a flying hoot, boy, girl, or anything in between. It was beautiful, and I was, you don't care anymore. For parents that think they care before, once the baby, you don't care. So no, honestly, to be frank, we already have names picked out for both, and I don't really care either way. I don't. A healthy baby is all that I care about. But thank you for the kind words, Darren. It's whatever happens, happens. As far as I'm concerned, I just want a healthy baby. So, Dane says, I want to see him do it without Reed. Whether or not that makes a difference. Well, because like we got the Belichick thing, and then we all go, "Who? Hey now, let's see what happens." That's good to know. John Sauer, Daddy's little girl. She's so cute. 100%. You get that thing. Where oh my god, she has me wrapped around her finger, and now I'm just smitten. She's she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's just unbelievable. It's hard to describe for people who aren't parents. Darren, I want to see Mahomes do it without the refs coddling him. That's good. That is funny. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the phone lines here for the back half of the program. Let's do it up, baby. So shout out to Jason Brownlee. He was the topic of today's show. And well-deserved. I like Jason. He seems like a good guy. We almost had him on. We were supposed to have him on last year, but he had a scheduling conflict last second. So I should bring him back on the show. Or bring him on the show, excuse me. Another guy we're trying to get on is Ashton Davis. He was going to join right before his agent didn't want him to mess up anything, so we'll have to get him on as well. So we'll try to get some more players on this offseason. Video call in line. All right, that is now on YouTube. I'm pinning that. That is now pinned. It is the pinned message. If you'd like to interact live on the show, feel free to click that. Again, you have to be on youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Obviously, be watching this video, and that is the pinned message. We're also streaming live on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, plus on Twitter as well, at BoyGreen25. All right, phenomenal. All right, let's keep going here with the phone lines now open. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Okay, I think this camera's ready. Okay, there he is, waving Bobby to join us. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, dude, Paul. Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations on your second.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mike's situation on the Jersey Shore. He's
What's
gonna
that?
have his second girl. You know, in the
Oh,
Jersey Shore.
yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
he's gonna have his second girl. He already has a boy
Oh, that's
and
good for
then
him.
two
Nice.
girls. Yeah. Yeah, they just revealed it last week. They were at this he wanted to do it on like a big monster truck, but they couldn't get the monster trucks on time, so they went to this stew ranch and they
Oh.
had a movie and then they pressed the TNT and it went pink.
Oh,
So it
that's
was a
cute.
girl, yeah.
That's cute. Yeah,
So yeah,
I haven't been on top of Jersey Shore in a while. I was back on it in the fad days, and
yeah.
then I disappeared, and then they came back. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do it again. And then
The
now I haven't been on
vacation
top
is
of it.
funny. I like the vacation.
Okay,
Good.
all right, I'll get on
Um,
that, Bobby. Yes.
I was upset about the Knicks last night.
Yeah,
Alan
I could
better be
imagine.
quiet today.
Who was that you said?
Alan better be good today.
I'm
He's
sure he
gonna
will.
be on.
I'm sure he won't
No,
say an
he
absolute
no
word about it. I'm pretty sure of
no.
that. Yeah.
He's on everybody's case. I see it in the chat, and I'm not in the mood for him today.
Oh, you're not in the mood for him today. Well, I'm sure he
No.
won't call in. I am 1,000% sure.
Oh
There's
no,
probably.
he's gonna call in Jake Asman show.
Oh, he will? Oh, maybe. We'll
Yes,
see. I'm sure
yes.
he's a bigger man than that. I'm sure he would not try
Oh,
to
he's
rub it
not a
in Knicks
big. No,
fans'
he's a
faces.
cartoon character.
Yeah, he's above that. He's above that. He would never do something like that.
Oh, come on, you know Alan.
No, Alan is. I think he's misunderstood. You know what?
Yeah,
I
he's
think
very
people just need to
misunderstood.
really, truly appreciate what he brings to the table.
I like Gary. Gary's like
You like
Gary.
who?
Gary, the guy, the
Gary who?
boxer guy. The boxer
Oh,
guy. You never saw the boxer, Gary.
oh yes. Now I know. Yes, yes, yes. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So are you doing trivia on your station today? You were saying?
On Fridays, we will
Oh,
be
on
doing trivia.
Fridays.
I don't know if that starts this. I got to talk to my radio partner. I don't know if that starts this
Oh,
Friday or
okay.
next Friday. But what I'll try to do for you guys, if you guys are interested, I will
Yeah.
try to bring the game here. So to get more
Yeah, that'd
use out
be
of it,
fun.
I'll bring it here. And we can all play a game together. So that'll
That'd
be a
be
fun little
fun.
thing.
That'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we'll
I'll work
talk
on
to
that.
you soon.
All right. Thanks,
We'll talk
Bobby.
now.
All right. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Let's go to our next caller, Alan. What's up, Alan? Good morning.
Misunderstood. I
Yes.
think my mom told me that when I was a kid, but I love it. First of all, I want to congratulate the great TJ McConnell and the
Oh,
Indiana
man.
Pacers for that absolute beatdown yesterday. Can you just do me a favor, Paul? Can you raise your left hand for a second?
Left hand. Yeah.
Right now, you have more dexterity than Jalen Brunson, so God bless you. God bless you. Oh, that was-
O'Connell's a little piece of crap, though. Oh my God, he's like an annoying gnat. But so he kept finding that soft J about 10 feet out. I'm like, and he just kept hitting it, getting underneath the basket. He's wily, he's squirrely, he's interesting.
Let me preface this by saying that I don't hate the Knicks per
Yeah.
se, the Knick team. I
Yeah.
hate snobby, celebrity row,
Oh yeah.
titled Knick fans. The Jason Batemans, the Ben Stillers,
Yeah.
what's it called? The Spike Lee.
Oh, there you go.
Watching the guys shaking their heads yesterday was glorious. Okay? Just saying that right now. But congratulations on the Pacers win. Celtics, by the way. Okay.
Ooh, gentleman sweep. I like it. Okay. Works for me.
As far as your point on Jason Brownlee,
Yes.
I love his size. I
Mhm.
hope that he can elevate his game and make the team. To me, I think the battle for one of the last spots could be Gibson versus Izzy. And I'll tell you why. Other than that return kick against the Bills, I was not really a big fan of Gibson's game. I thought he struggled as a punt returner. I thought he
Mhm.
fumbled the ball way too much. I think he's a fringe number 5 receiver. And if you don't have a lot of confidence in him returning kicks, what use is he? I think Earl Charles makes the team because I think he takes over the Justin Hardy role as our gunner on special teams. So if Izzy doesn't make the team as a running back, I know that in college he dabbled in as a kick returner, punt returner. So I think that is the battle. I'd love to see Brownlee with that size taking that next step. But again, I think they carry either 6 receivers and 4 backs. or they carry 7 receivers and 3 backs. I think it's the battle of those 2 guys. And I think they carry 3 tight ends. I know people are in love, like Green Bean is in love with Kenny Yeboah. Again, great as a CFL tight end in the next couple of weeks. Okay, but again, the battle is Izzy versus Gibson for that last role.
I like that.
I love the size of Brownlee, and I think he has the ability to really separate. I mean, I think he can make the contested catches, and I think he has that size that really could take his game to another level. Hopefully, he worked on his game in the offseason, worked with Aaron, but I'd love to see him make the team as our number 5 receiver. I don't worry about him making the team. I worry about Gibson making the team. And I just don't think Gibson really has a role unless he really steps up as a special teams player. And again, other than that kick return or that punt return against the Bills, I didn't really see much. I saw a guy who you really did not have a lot of confidence in after week 1. He fumbled the ball way too much for my liking as a punt returner.
Yeah, that's very fair. Again, outside of that pop, and it's kind of crazy. The pop comes up immediately. So again, in a Brownlee way, but different, we get this high expectation. We found another of these crazy gems, and then he wasn't able to live to perhaps an unrealistic ceiling from the get-go. That's a fair point, Alan.
Bobby, I love you, Bobby. No, I really don't. But Bobby, the day that I am humble, that's never going to happen. But congratulations. And if I were you, Paul, when you see your buddy Jimmy today, take that TJ McConnell shirt, just buy it offline, and just put it on his chair and say, this is what a winning basketball player looks like. Okay?
I will do.
Congratulations to the Pacers. And I loved a very silent Madison Square Garden in the 4th quarter. That was bliss for me. God bless you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Alan, for tuning in. I see this immediately from our boy here. 1 second. Got a YouTube super chat coming in. Though skip the queue. T.O. jumping in. Do you know the Brownlee 40 time, pro day or other? Yeah, it was a 4.59 40-yard dash. And I will tell you, that's from Lance Zerline, NFL Combine profile. I'll tell you, one of the criticisms from Lance, here are the weaknesses for Brownlee's game. Creates too many contested catches for himself. Below average at utilizing leverage and route breaks. Needs better catch focus underneath. Can do a little bit more as a run blocker. And there was a level of separation questions, I think, with the 4.59 40-yard dash. And he was doing the contested catch because he wasn't separating, so he's facing more of those. Seemed to be the criticism from Lance Zerline, so we will see. But there are intriguing traits about him that I kind of want to work on. It is interesting on the Gibson point. From Allen. The only thing I'm kind of curious about is Connor Hughes has talked the hell out of Xavier Gibson as this guy the Jets really want to work into the offense. Now, part of that could be the Aaron Rodgers goes down and they couldn't utilize him in the same way. That's what people say about the Mecole Hardman thing. But on the other nugget, if you felt so good about Xavier Gibson as a slot, why would you draft Malachi Corley, who in college anyway was 91% slot? So I don't know, something doesn't feel right there. We'll have to see how that evaluates. Okay, let's keep going in this conga line. We got plenty of callers here on the show. NY Jets FL joins us here on the program. Hello, sir.
Hey, good morning, Paul. I was waiting for Bobby to drop a Snooki comment because he seems to have his knowledge on Jersey Shore tell us how hot he thinks Snooki is. But right. I mentioned in the chat that the Knicks lost his Allen Super Bowl, and with his call, it was obvious that he is in full glory today with his, it probably made his summer that the Knicks lost to the Pacers because I've never seen Allen smile and laugh so hard. So good for Allen, good for Allen. I'm sorry for the Knicks fans, but
those poor bastards.
Yeah, right. I know you're a Celtic fan. It's funny. My father's from New Bedford. My mom's
really?
from New Jersey. Yeah, New Bedford. My aunt, they're from New Bedford. So, but small world. I think we should just hold off, Paul, on adding a veteran receiver. I want to see what we have in training camp and with the youngsters because of the redshirt year of the Zach Wilson last year and the offensive line being so brutal. we got no semblance of an offense. I would rather just wait till after July. And I have a feeling between all the players that we currently have, I don't think we're going to be adding somebody.
What, at
I
wide
really don't.
receiver?
Yes, maybe safety, but not wide receiver.
Yeah, I think based on, I feel like if they were going to do it, you probably would have already done it. That's why I'm saying the guys like MVS, OBJ, and apparently any other 3-letter nicknamed wide receiver that I can think of off the top of my head, they would have dove in those waters if they were going to do it, I believe. And the fact that they didn't, they let them all kind of scurry after the draft where all of those veterans signed other places. Like I said, the only other notable, without looking at the list of best available, I would imagine is Hunter Renfrow is probably the most notable of the group that's still left. And it's up to you on how you perceive him. I know a lot of people don't like him, not like him as the person, but like him as the player fit with the Jets. So it'd be kind of interesting. But maybe at this point, you're right. Just kind of ride it out. We have OTA practices starting today for people who keep asking. Yes, they do start today, but limited number are open to the media. We'll give you guys those details later. But yeah, you might as well just ride out with the young guys now and then just kind of see, is there a Joe Douglas signing in the gap of June to July, mid-June to July in training camp where nothing's there? Maybe. And maybe you're right. It comes at safety instead of wide receiver.
And then also, Paul, I would, especially if we get an injury early in the season, I would hold on to that 3rd-round draft pick, due to injury or trade. Maybe we do want to add somebody more explosive in the wide receiver later in the year, or say we have an injury to the pass rusher. I mean, anything's possible. I would just keep that 3rd-rounder right in the back pocket till the
100%.
absolute end, and then go from there. So I know you got a lot of callers, Paul. So you have a great one, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks, bud. Thanks for calling in. And again, the phone lines are open, baby. It is the pinned comment on YouTube. Also, if you'd like to get involved in the conversation, the YouTube super chats, skip the queue. So I see this from Dane, a super chat here. Speaking of contested catch, think BL comps to Mike Will. Does anyone know who BL is? Am I having a brain lapse? Maybe Jason Brownlee is maybe who he's talking about. And if so, no, I don't think Jason Brownlee is in the same Mike Williams category, but I will keep, who is, hey, Dane, I see that you're in the chat right now. It's not mini camp today. It's just OTAs. Oh, Brownlee is who you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. I think Mike Williams is much better at contested catch situations than Mike Williams. I don't think he's in that same category. Maybe he can eventually get there at some point. But no, I do not believe that he's in that category. We'll see. Again, there's a lot of traits to like about Brownlee, but that level of contested catch is not one that we've seen yet. Although it was kind of cool to see the crazy training camp one. That one was fun to see. All right, let's keep going on the phone lines, babe. We got plenty of people in here. All right, let's go to Johnny Boy here on the channel. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, bro? How you holding up, man?
I'm holding up good, and I just want to say this right off the top, that you're wearing your Knicks hat. And I will tell you, as a fan of some teams that have been through some trials and tribulations, that's the way you're supposed to do it. When they win, like when the Jets, I just had this experience. I wear Jets gear every day, no matter what. So when I go to the gas station and they lost by 30, I'll get a Jets loser. I'm like, all right, whatever. Suck it, baby. I don't care. And then when they're good and winning, I'm wearing it. So you wear it all the time, no matter what. That's the true definition of a fan. So even though what happened to the Knicks yesterday happened to the Knicks, you should be proud, and I'm glad that you're repping the gear. That's a true sign of a fan.
Yeah, dude, all day, every day, man. I mean, I think the injuries caught up to us, man. I mean, Brunson, broken hand, Hart, abdominal sprain, Mitch Robinson, Julius Randle, Bonya. I can't even never pronounce his
name. Bogdanovich. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, it was literally the Jets right then and there, incarnated in blue and orange, and it sucks, but still proud of the team. Team did something that, nobody thought we were going to do during the year. Nobody had us pegged to be freaking second.
Right? Yeah, the second seed and a 50-win team, 100%. There's a lot to love there. Yeah.
So it's just building off of that. I mean, I think the team got better without Randall. Everybody got together. The biggest conversation is going to be talked about, and I mean, let's be honest in regards of it, is if Tibbs ran these guys to the ground. That's the conversation that's going to be told. I mean, the fatigueness is the truth,
Sure.
But it is what it is. I mean, it sucks because, you know, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm still repping. It's still Bing Bong all day. You
I
know,
love
hey,
that.
my Rangers are still in it, so whatever.
Yes,
You know, but F it, dude. Like I still rock it unless somebody say something to me about it. I'm gonna
I
be like,
love that.
bet, but I'm a real fan. Anyways, with this conversation in regards of like the wide receiving core, I've been one of the
Yeah,
few saying let's stay what we have. I mean, can we agree that Aaron Rodgers elevates every wide receiver he's ever had? Right?
absolutely.
So, I mean, we still got Irv Charles. Irv Charles is your new Justin Hardy.
Hmm.
They've been high on that guy forever and a day, and I mean, he's like 6'5", 6'6", or something to that extreme. He's a
Yeah, I
big.
think he's 6'4". He's a big dude, but they haven't used him on offense yet. I'm curious if they just haven't because he can, or haven't for whatever other reason. So maybe there's something there too.
So I mean, there's a lot of players that are there. Yeah, Brownlee showed flashes last year
Mhm.
of it, but again, I mean, he had Zach Wilson to try to throw to them.
That's true.
I mean, we don't know, so I'm excited to see what we got. Yes, people are saying, veteran wide receiver. I love the fact that Jets Florida said, no, we don't need to go and let's pump the brakes on because who's out there that you would want to get? The only person we wanted was Boyd, and he's gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know no one else wanted him, but I wanted OBJ, but he goes. Let me see. I'm pulling up just to see if there's anyone else who's out there. I know people have brought up, obviously, Renfro on the show today. He's been one that's gotten some attention. Yeah, I'll have to check the spot track list to see who's still available out there. But a lot of them, to your point, have disappeared. OBJ, MVS, Tyler Boyd is another one that we didn't talk about, but he's a proven guy who has a very high floor. He's another one that's disappeared off the face of the earth. So yeah, we'll have to. I'll look into that and let you guys know who are the best available still at that position.
That's what I mean. I'm like, let's just rock with who we have. I mean, we got a good wide receiving core. To be honest with you, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've been pounding the table and saying that Corley's going to be offensive rookie of the year. Mark my words, man. I've been saying forever and a day that he's going to eat with. And the other thing too, right? Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah, sure.
type of ball he throws, it's a wide receiving friendly type of ball to be caught. So
Yes,
I don't know, man. Again, it's an exciting time. Everybody just enjoy it. Super Bowl, baby. I know, man. It's too
that's
early.
it.
I'm still crying about our game last night. I'm not even gonna lie, bro.
That's okay. You'll recover, man. You'll recover. But
Hey,
hey, it's
you're
been a
gonna have
long
a boy.
season.
You're gonna have a boy.
Okay, I love it. I want it when I spike that football. I want green. I'm gonna. I guess I can't celebrate too hard because then I'll look bad. Because for my daughter, when I spiked it, I was just kind of in shock. So if I start pulling out the sprinkler, there might be some. So I might get things thrown at me. So I got to make sure I kind of control the reaction if it is a boy.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
should do some breakdancing spin head moves, girl.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Hey,
I got
brother,
to be better this time.
and keep doing your thing. And hey, it's still Bing Bong all day, man. So let's go.
There he is. Johnny joining us here on the show. Appreciate it. I also saw someone have this comment earlier about, I think it was from our boy Valente, but we're getting a lot of comments, and so maybe I can't pull it up, but yeah, I can't see it. But I will just say that Jason Brownlee is like what Denzel Mims was supposed to be. And the only thing I'll say about that is Denzel Mims was bigger and faster. Mims ran that 4.38 40-yard dash. So he had a little bit more wheels to him. But yeah, sure. In theory, kind of, there's a little bit, I guess, of there to that. There's no question about it. And I was trying to pull up the remaining free agents, but Spot Track is being very weird with their website right now, so I don't think I'll be able to do that for you guys. But we'll look at other potential things later. Let's go back to the phone lines. This is a guy who had a streak going, but apparently had other important things in his life, and his streak came to a crashing halt of joining this program. So let's bring him in to start a new streak, I suppose. B-Mac jumps up on the show. B-Mac, you
Hey.
had a streak going there, pal.
Yeah, I know. I had the streak going to number 4, but again, man, I'm not much of a it's kind of hard for me to get up in the morning because then I forgot
Sure.
you're on, and
Yeah.
I'm more of a noon kind of guy, but
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
but yeah, man.
respect
But
that.
hey, I respect you.
Thank you.
You work and you grind and doing the morning shows. But
Damn
hey,
straight.
look. The point thing is,
Yeah.
I'm right here now. But
That's
I
right.
just want to say R.I.P. Knicks fans and R.I.P. Denver fans. Especially to the Denver Nuggets, man. Heartbreaking loss last night. You up by 20. I thought they were gonna close it out, and Minnesota, man, they just snatched it from them.
Yeah, there was the biggest comeback in Game 7 history. So shout out to
Yeah,
Minnesota. That was incredible.
yeah, man, they snatched it from them, and I love that Anthony Edwards kid, man.
Yeah.
That kid's got a lot of
22.
potential.
Still a young buck.
Yeah, man. He's got a ton of potential. And for the
Mhm.
Knicks, first of all, I blame Allen
Okay.
for the Knicks losing. This man is like he just ruins everything, man. I think the reason why Jalen Brunson got hurt. I think he's the reason why for all these injuries happen.
Wow.
And I think for his downfall for the Knicks, that's why my mom is a diehard Knicks fan, so
geez.
she's suffering too. So
I can understand that.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, blame Allen. Good move.
Yeah,
Good move. I
thanks a
like
lot.
that.
But yeah, man. As far as y'all wide receiving core, man. Look, get like the most important thing for Rodgers, man. Just get him an O line that will give him time, man. If you give him an O line that will give him time, he can make he can take care of the rest. Like this guy can make wide receivers look from good to great, bad to good. Like look what he did with Alan Lazar. Like he was a nobody, you know what I mean? And Rodgers, said, no, give me this guy. Let me make this guy something out of nothing. You know what I mean? I do like again, I think y'all good with Mike Williams if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Mike Crowley is a sleeper for me.
Okay.
I think he's gonna come out swinging right out the gate. I think he's gonna be Rodgers' prime version of Randall Cobb.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay, we can only hope.
I mean, people forget prime Randall Cobb was underrated, man. Like Cobb
very much so.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be that slot guy, but he's gonna be that yak guy too. Cobb was a yak guy, but Mike Crowley is a way better yak guy.
Yeah, he's the yak king. Yeah.
Yeah. And then y'all got still got Garrett, but as long as y'all guys can stay healthy, and then Alan Jard as your fourth wide receiver, it's not the worst thing. I do think y'all will be fine at that position. Like I said, man, just build this guy a wall, keep this guy upright, keep this guy protected. Because again, he is older. You don't want Rodgers running around scrambling and all that stuff. Like like he's 27 years old. Like no. Just give Rodgers time in that pocket. Let him use his brain and his smarts, and I think he will make y'all wide receivers look good. So
we can only hope.
Yeah. So the Jason Brownlee thing, I think he's going to be fine as y'all wide receiver 5. You know what I mean? Maybe he's y'all wide receiver 5, and at best. And as far as my top 5, I put on the chat. Yeah,
okay.
I think Patrick Mahomes deserves to be in there just
already.
Because,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just because what he's doing right now at this, like coming out of the gate at a young age, like a short career, then the 5 straight championship games, the 4 Super Bowls, won 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Broke records. Like this kid's doing something like we never seen. Like we never seen a quarterback come in the league and light it up. And I get he's got Andy Reid. I get he's got Tyreek Hill, but no, man, you can't blame him for having a great head coach and a great
That's true.
In a great tight end. Like the same thing with Tom Brady. I like as much as I hate Tom Brady. we can't blame Tom Brady for the situation he was in. You can't blame Tom Brady for having a great, the greatest head coach and the greatest tight end. You know what I mean? So and Tom Brady took advantage of his opportunity. Patrick Mahomes is doing the same thing. He's taking advantage of his opportunity. What matters is, can you take advantage of your opportunities? And that's what these guys are doing. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes is in my top five. You know what I mean, right now.
Well, the more you guys talk about it, and a few of you brought it up, I see NY Jets FL says yes, Mahomes top 5. I've seen a few of you others. It was clearly an oversight not to at the very least discuss it. I think there is a compelling case. We talk about some of the guys that are in the top 5. Peyton Manning only has 2 rings. Mahomes already has 3, and he's in the middle of his career. So yeah, there is a good point. He at the very least should have been discussed. That was an oversight, no doubt.
Yeah, but I do think, and then as far as Drew Brees, I don't think Drew Brees is in my top 10, to be honest with you.
Whoa, okay, that's a little too far. Not top 10.
That's my opinion. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not trying to destroy your opinion. I'm just saying, like, whoa, that's quite an opinion. That is wow. Okay.
I just think that Drew Brees' numbers are skewed. I just think that he was in a playing in a dome, putting up those numbers, and then you went and you have like 6, 5, 7, and 9 seasons, you know what I mean. So I just think that that's a little bit weird to me, and I think he had one of the top coaches in the league, and he was in a quarterback friendly offensive system.
But wait, I just have to ask as a counterpoint. We just said for Mahomes, well, you can't blame him for having Andy Reid. You can't blame him for having Travis Kelce. And then you're turning around and you're blaming Drew Brees for having Sean Payton. You're blaming him for being in a dome. He didn't pick where he played. He didn't pick who he coached for. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, B-Mac?
The reason I say that is, I don't know. I just think, in my opinion, people overrate and overvalue Drew Brees than for who he is.
That's what I will say. I told that to my dad. So we looked up the number. There were 15 5,000-yard passing seasons in history. Not 15 different quarterbacks, but 15 seasons in which 5,000 yards passed happened. Drew Brees owns a third of them, and he owned even more before he retired, because there's been a few in the 17-game era. I believe there's 3 extra in the 17-game era. At one point, he had 5 of the 9 in history. Now he has 5 of the 15. So for that reason, you could say like, those are a little skewed to what it was. But at the end of the day, he did have them. Plus, of course, the Super Bowl championship beating Peyton Manning, which was a fun Super Bowl. Tracy Porter had the pick 6 where he grabs it away from Reggie Rain, jumps around, starts pointing at the crowd as he runs into the end zone. And it was after Hurricane Katrina.
Let's be honest. In that Super Bowl, Peyton Manning blew that Super Bowl throwing that pick 6. Let's be honest.
You could say he blew it or the defense took it. I mean, it's up to
Peyton Manning had the coach easy should have took that game if it wasn't for that onside kick after halftime, and it wasn't for Peyton Manning. I mean, we can nitpick these guys' legacies all we want, but hell, people nitpick Tom Brady's legacy. People said Tom Brady should have lost 3 Super Bowls. You know what I mean? But I just think that it kind of was me the one way that people glosses over Rodgers for MVPs, but glorify Drew Brees 5,000 pass yard seasons. It's just
fair enough.
Really was me the one way. So
I respect it.
You can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? If you don't glorify for the 5,000 passing yards, then you have to glorify for the 4 MVPs. And 4 MVPs holds more weight than the 5,000 passing yards. So,
okay, fair enough. I respect it. B-Mac, good drop the mic there, pal. We'll see you.
As always, man, and see ya.
Okay, we'll see if the streak continues. We'll be back on tomorrow, as we are every day. Johnny Boy, by the way, asked this question. How about your top 5 New York Jets quarterbacks of all time? These are off the top of my head, so okay, Johnny, let's roll. Joe Namath, of course. You have to put in your top 5. One of the most important players in Jet franchise history, if not the most important. Joe Namath is 100% on that list. Ken O'Brien is 1,000% on that list. I think he gets underrated by Jet fans all the time. Ken O'Brien would be on that list for me. Mark Sanchez. I'm putting in that list. That might be crazy. I'm putting Mark Sanchez in there, baby. The back-to-back AFC Championship games, all that jazz. I love Mark Sanchez, baby. I'm parking his ass firmly in that top 5, baby. 1,000%. You got to put old Mark Sanchez in there for sure. He's got to be in your top 5. Chad Pennington, baby. I love Chad Pennington. So we got Namath, we got Ken O'Brien, we got Sanchez, we got Chad Pennington, 100%. Those are 4 of my 5. Oh boy, I want to do everything in my power to not put Fitzpatrick. So screw Fitzpatrick. I don't care about his 1.5 years with the Jets. Screw that bastard. I'm not putting him in my top 5. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. Boy, who else deserves to be on this list? Yeah, let's go. I'll go Vinny. I'll round out the 5 with Vinny. We'll put Vinny Testaverde in there. So there's my 5 in no particular order. You got Joe Namath, you got Ken O'Brien, you got Mark Sanchez, you got Chad Pennington. I'll round it out with Vinny Testaverde, baby. Those are the top 5 all-time Jet quarterbacks, baby. So let me know your list. Feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll hear from you over the next couple of days. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to our OC, EZ, on the show. What's up, Edward?
Kenny O'Brien, baby. He had 2 Pro Bowls. He's my favorite of all.
I love that. And for whatever reason, I know the reason. I guess it's the Dan Marino thing in '83. But like, it's just come on, man. Let's judge their careers.
If Dan Marino would have been on that Jets team, he would have been in a wheelchair after the 3rd game. I mean, Dan was great. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic quarterback. But the Jets team of that era did not have a good O-line, and Kenny O'Brien was about the toughest son of a bitch that ever played quarterback.
Yeah, I love Kenny, and I love hearing him every once in a while. Rich Cimini catches up with him on his podcast, so it's good to hear from him because I don't get to hear from him otherwise, so that's a lot of fun, too.
I got a Kenny O autographed jersey, man. You kidding
really?
me?
Oh, nice.
Someone asked me, is that a Boomer Esiason? I said, fuck Esiason.
I love that response.
I mean, you know, what the Jets did to Kenny O'Brien when they put Boomer Esiason in was shameful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they announced Boomer, hand him a number 7 jersey. They didn't even tell Kenny he was cut.
Well, it's not the same, but I'm sure a lot of people will draw parallels to how they handled Chad Pennington. They trade for Brett Favre. They awkwardly have Chad Pennington still on the roster, and they just cut his ass. Now, Chad gets the last laugh because he goes in the division and beats the Jets in the final game of the season to win the AFC East and snap that long Patriot streak. So that's another one where they handled him very poorly. And I love Chad. He's one of my favorite Jet quarterbacks of all time.
Chad was great, and the Jets ruined Chad. He got hurt. They tried starting him before he was fully recovered, and he re-injured that arm, and it was a wet noodle ever since. Yeah, they destroyed him.
Yeah, 100%.
But he was probably their best. If you want to talk about what's upstairs, he might have been their smartest quarterback of all time. I rival him with Peyton Manning as far as wit.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. As far as football IQ, I put him up there with Peyton Manning. He didn't have the tools, but he had the brains.
Wow. Yeah, I do like that. He's a great guy in his post-career, too. So, yeah, he deserves a lot of action, too. So, yeah, I love Chad. He's a great guy. And like I said, Kenny just needs more love from the fans. There's
Kenny needs a lot more love. A lot more love. That guy was great. Like I said, I mean, he went to 2 Pro Bowls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Kenny. That's a good comment.
There used to be an old show on ABC Sports called The Superstars.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a football quarterback competition. They had all the quarterbacks in, and Kenny O'Brien won that damn thing.
I love that. I wish they'd bring that back.
I had a lot of pride for that, man. It was great.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
He's definitely my favorite. He was so tough. He was so tough. Like I said, Marino would have never survived that pounding.
I love that. I love that take. That's awesome. Thanks, Easy.
Take care, man.
All right, there you go. Easy joining us here on the show. By the way, keep seeing these people saying Glenn Foley. Now, don't get me wrong. I played NFL Blitz, Nintendo 64, and Glenn Foley's my quarterback. But what are we talking about here? Glenn Foley had more interceptions than touchdowns. Why were you 12 touchdowns, 16 picks? He was with the Jets for a long time. longtime relative. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was with the Jets for 5 years. What's all this Glenn Foley? I'm sorry. With all due respect, his highest passing yard season was in 1998. It is 3 games that he appeared in for 749 yards, where he had 4 touchdowns, 6 picks. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to flush Glenn Foley down the trash. Again, I enjoyed him on the Nintendo 64, but Glenn Foley was as good as his brother Mick Foley. All right, yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, so sorry, I'm going to have to flush down the Glenn Foley love, but good conversation with the Jet quarterback all-time list. I'll be curious to see what other names pop in. Hey, maybe we can eventually put Aaron Rodgers on that list, baby. We can only hope. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We've got one half of the Sunday shenanigans. Tio joining us here on the program. What's up, Tio?
Hey, what's going on, Paul? Great show as always with my coffee.
Yes.
I agree with Edward on Ken O'Brien. Man, he is such a underrated quarterback. And when we're talking about quarterbacks, and by the way, I agree with your list. But Ken O'Brien, I mean, who's to say if the tables were turned and everything was reversed, if he would have did just as good as Dan Marino in the offense in Miami as as Marino did. I mean,
I've not heard it. I will tell you, Tio, I've never heard someone say what the words that just came out of your mouth. So that's interesting to hear.
Well, I mean, you think about the 80s and the offense that the Jets had at the time. I mean, it was really Freeman McNeil's offense. I mean, it was running game. It was very conservative. And then, the upstart Marino and, Shula and the offense that they had with the Duper brothers and all that, the Duper and the tandem of wide receivers that they had, there was games where Ken O'Brien against Dan Marino were shootouts. I mean, that 51-45 game. I mean, but there were other ones as well. When it came to the point where they needed him to pass the ball, he would go out there and he'd put out those stats. So, I mean, Ken O'Brien was really, really underrated. And I loved him as a quarterback for the Jets. And I think like towards the end of his career, they really, the whole thing that Edward was talking about was absolutely correct. And, for some reason or another, he just kind of went into the shadows. And I'm glad that you had brought up that he has a podcast and he's, doing stuff too, because, it's great to hear from him as well.
He did want to every once in a while. I don't think he has his own thing, but maybe he does. But I just hear him. Rich Samiti has his Flight Deck podcast, which is an ESPN product, and he catches up with Kenny all the time. And I get to hear him. I'm like, man, it's so great to hear from Kenny. So it's real. It's just awesome to hear his voice. So and I see him sometimes at the alum events, but we don't get any chance to talk or shoot the shit or anything. But yeah, it's good to hear from him though.
Yeah, maybe it's that you're talking about that I hear him, but he's always very humble. He always is very historic about his time with the Jets and great stories that he talks about. So, really good to hear from him, and that he's not forgotten. He is a cherished, memory of Jets fandom. I wanted to bring it full circle with Jason Brownlee, and you're probably gonna be, and everybody in the chat's probably going to be like, oh, come on, man. We were talking about comps for Jason Brownlee, and I was, kind of going around, clicking around and stuff like that. Guess who I saw was a pretty decent comp for Jason Brownlee?
Do tell. Who?
Davante Adams.
What?
Davante Adams. Check it out yourself.
Wow.
Brownlee ran 4.59 40.
All right.
Davante Adams ran a 4.56.
Okay.
Their verts are identical. They both, their verts were just at 40 at 39.5.
Well, that's great. That's a great number. Yeah.
And they both have big hands, and they both are around the same sizes. I mean, Brownlee's a little taller at 6'2". Davante Adams is 6'1". Davante Adams is a little bit heavier at 210. Brownlee came out at about even 200. They both have the same frame, and I mean, I'm just saying that.
Interesting.
I mean, that was the closest comp. I looked at Keenan Allen. He
Sure.
has a couple of measurables that are the same, but he's faster. I looked at Jordy Nelson. A little bit of the same comps, but Jordy Nelson was really fast. Some other
Devontae.
players, but yeah.
Wow. I've not heard that before. That is interesting. All right. Rodgers already has his Devontae. Screw trading with the Raiders. Nice.
I'm telling you, check out the stats and look it up. But that is the comp. So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe Rodgers, sees a little bit of Devontae Adams in Brownlee as opposed to Garrett Wilson.
Wow. That would be wow. Sign me up if we're getting Devontae Adams coming out of Jason Brownlee. I'd sign up for that, Tio. Okay. I like what's in your coffee this morning.
Yes. In any case, it's great to see that he's having a fine and good rebirth, so to speak.
So far.
And doing great. So, I look forward to seeing more from him. And as always, Paul, great show. Thank you for supporting our show with Nick. Last night was a long one, and we just try to have fun, and I'm glad that you're part of the fun. So thank you very much, and God bless.
All right, can't wait. Thank you, guys. Check them out. Sunday Shenanigans on the YouTube universe again. That is Nick Shine and Tio. Make sure you guys check that out. That's phenomenal. They have these fun top 5 lists every week so far. I don't know if that's going to be a regular thing, but it's fun seeing those and being able to kind of come in and out on the Sunday shows and see that. And Tio's hat game is spectacular. I love that hat he had on last night. That was brilliant. All right, everybody. So again, if you're watching live or after the fact, we have 500 people in the room right now. I want to see some of those top 5 lists. And I think it was from John Sowers said, I just looked at our top quarterbacks. Disgusting. Yeah, the list is a little scant. Going to be honest. When you start going through and seeing the names, boy, it runs out pretty quick. It's not, I don't know. I don't know every other NFL team's full quarterback history, but boy, for the Jets, it runs out pretty quick. You get a couple of names, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh boy, which is interesting. So, but I'm curious, what are your top 5 Jet quarterback all-time list? Keep them in the comment section down below. Where do you guys stand on this? I'm fascinated to hear if there's a name I apparently missed out, like Glenn Foley. Again, I love him, and I've got that over there, the 64. But I haven't played in a while, so I have to blow on the cartridge. But Glenn Foley, I believe, is our quarterback, a Nintendo 64 NFL Blitz from back in the day. But either way, I'd love to see some of your top 5 lists. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Like the video, hit subscribe again. Jets OTAs start today. They got a bunch of practices. Then in the middle of June, they finish it off with a mandatory minicamp. I'm pretty sure they canceled that last year because they reported early because of the Hall of Fame game. So hopefully that stays pat because we'll get some more coverage there as well. So we'll give you some more content from the OTAs. Looking forward to it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time here on the channel. Take care, everybody.